Hi, Deron.
What's up, Luke? How are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. Am I pronouncing your first name correctly?
Deron's right. I know. I was gonna tell your boy that hooked us up. He said Darren, but dude, I've been used to that my entire life. People call me Darren, so I correct the majority of people, but sometimes when I don't find it necessary, I don't correct them. But yeah, it's Deron, bro.
All right, let's get to it right away. First of all, correct me if I'm wrong. Were the Pan Am Games over the weekend in wrestling?
Yeah, yeah, man. We did really well. We actually won for every single weight. We won all gold medals, man. It was crazy.
Has that happened before?
I'd have to check, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did happen before. But I've never seen it happen before. You know what's crazy is they didn't send all their number ones either. Like there was kind of a couple ways where it was just some random villains. That's just how good we are as a country these days.
Very good. Now, there's a bunch of questions I have about that, but let me get to the first one. We have spoken before, although first time that you and I are speaking on this show. You have been signed by the UFC. You have your first fight set up. What took so long?
Um, a lot of things going on behind the scenes. I don't want to say too much, but like me and DC, we're gonna fight on the same card to begin with, and some things came up, and DC couldn't fight right away. So we kind of had to figure out what card would work best for me and what made sense. And then even with this, we actually had more than 4 or 5 guys decline the fight. I just found. So
Oh, oh, really?
I so yeah, so even in the UFC, man, I had guys turn down the fight to me. So which is really surprising. But the good thing is Nick did a good job at finding obviously a new opponent, and we actually had. I thought we had one lined up, that Anthony Hernandez, and then for some reason he pulled out last minute, and I thought that was going to be it. And then literally like the next day, Mick found Markus Perez for me, and we just said yeah because I just want to fight, bro. You know what I mean? I just want to fight. So I at this point in the UFC, everybody's going to be tough. So it doesn't matter who I fight right now. You know, the journey has to start somewhere. So I'm ready.
All right, so that's crazy. So first of all, let's go back a step. If everything had gone according to plan, how long ago would you have been in the octagon?
Probably March. I think that we were supposed to originally fight in March, and DC was dealing with some injuries and stuff, and so we didn't know when he was going to fight. So we kind of took a step back, and which is okay because at the same time as it's taken a long time for me to get back in, I'm just getting better as a fighter. You know, I'm still fairly green. So I really I think I made my pro debut like right around 2 years ago, and so I'm still green in the game, and I still have so much to learn. So I'm not like, part of me, I'm like, yo, I want to fight. I need to fight. I need to fight. And then part of me, I'm like, yo, it's fine because I'm just getting better. So I'm okay with it.
Are you now worried that as you get better, let's say you go in there and blow the doors off your first opponent, are you like thinking to yourself, well, if I had this much trouble getting a fight before I even fought in the octagon, what's going to happen after I start beating the brakes off these guys?
Yeah, well, that's always what I've thought about that, and you see these guys who get like fast tracked to the title and stuff like that, and some guys it works out for obviously Izzy it worked out for him, you know, and but like I'm okay with it. I don't want to be, I said something the other day is I don't want to be here for a long time. I'm just here for a good time. So I'm okay if I get back because if I start beating dudes up, only the top guys are going to take the fights from me, right? So, but I'm okay with that. Obviously, like I said, I'm very confident, and I have a lot to learn and a lot of experience to get in the octagon. But I truly believe sooner than later I'll be ready for anybody, and I already think I'm world class. So I'm personally not scared to get in there with anybody. But that's just who I am, and that's who I've always been. And so I'm not too concerned, man. I want to put this dude away. I want to put him away, and then I want to fight right away. I want to fight 3 times this year. So what that means, and the only way I'm going to do that is if I put this dude away. I can't go in there and get in a 3-round brawl war with this dude and think I'm going to fight again in 2 months. You know,
Mm.
so I'm hoping that I knock this dude out and put him away or whatever, knock him out, TKO him, submit him. You know, there's a lot of ways I can finish this dude. So I want to do that, and then I want to fight again right away. So I'm okay. I'm okay with fighting the better guys, and hopefully it's sooner than later.
Now, are you trying to follow the Israel Adesanya path? And by that, I mean the following. He was, like you, a star athlete in another sport, and he had 6 fights in 14 months. Now, maybe you're not looking exactly for that, but something like get in there, make a statement, and quickly follow it up. Put a lot of fights under your belt. Is that what you want?
Absolutely, absolutely, man. And I tell people all the time is, you know, I competed at a high level for 25 years, you know, and so I don't want to do it. Who knows? Because I always tell people you never know where you're going to be in 10 years. But I don't want to. I truly don't want to follow the same path as DC and fight till I'm 40. You know what I mean? I don't know if I want to fight till I'm 40. So the sooner the better. But I also don't want to go too soon. You know, because the sticky thing about that is, say I'm on a 4 or 5 fight win streak, and I come in and I beat a top 10 guy, and they wanna fast track me to the title shot or something. Say I get beat, say I'm not ready, and then what? And then what's next? And then I gotta fight another top 5, top 7 guy, right? And then say you lose again, right? I mean, there's all these variables. So whatever happens, but I'm not afraid to fight 6 times in 14 months. I'm used to having 100 wrestling matches a year. You know what I mean? And it's obviously not the same thing, but I always tell people wrestling's actually harder than fighting. So I'm okay with fighting. I'm okay with fighting 6 times in 14 months. I would love that. I would love the money. I would love the activity. I would love it, man.
Tell me why wrestling is harder than fighting. I'm not challenging you. I'm more picking your brain, but give me the case.
So, in fighting, it's a lot of it's relaxed, right? You're striking. You got to be relaxed on your feet. In wrestling, you're relaxed, but it's also when you're engaged with somebody, you are engaging every muscle in your body at once, right? And so a wrestling match, like right now, so these guys at the Pan Am, they wrestled 2 3-minute rounds. And so that's 6 minutes. So for 6 minutes, it's like a 6-minute sprint, basically. And in fighting, I found that you can relax and you can back up. In wrestling, you can't back up, right? Because you get called for stalling or passivity. In fighting, you can back up. If you get tired, if you get rocked or something, you can back up. In wrestling, that's looked down upon. So you're always constantly moving forward, and you're constantly engaged. And for a guy like me, like the last 7 or 8 years, I was wrestling internationally. So I was wrestling for Team USA, and I was wrestling the best guys in the world. So every single one of my matches were very, very hard. And training only gets harder as you get older, because in wrestling training, I'm bent over. You're bent over. I'm almost 30 years old. Think about bending over all day, And in a fight, you can stand up and relax. I personally think a guy who's been there at a high level at both sports, I truly, and you could probably ask like a guy like Ben Askren or Henry or any of these guys, that I truly, truly think wrestling training is harder than MMA training.
Now, you said you don't want to be here till you're
more grueling on your body.
I can believe that. You said you don't want to be here till DC, like when he's 40. But what if you were getting DC's checks?
Yeah, no, for sure. No, for sure. Don't get me wrong. If I'm getting those checks, I'll stick around. Absolutely, I'll stick around for the super fights, and if I'm defending the title and whatnot. But I've already had a lot of competition under my belt. So it's I'm not looking to be a journeyman, and I'm definitely not looking to be one of these guys who are just fighting because they need the money. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Like I told, 10 years ago, if you would have asked me if I was going to be a fighter and fighting in the UFC, I would have told you hell no. I tell people hell no, I don't want to fight in the UFC because I'm good. I don't want to fight. I just want to coach and kind of live my life after I'm done competing with wrestling. And this dude DC and my management convinced me to fight. Here I am. So I love it, though. Don't get me wrong. I love competing. I'm a super competitive guy in everything I do. So I love it. I'm super happy with my life, and I'm just excited to see. I'm so excited for this to happen because there's going to be 1 or 2 things that happen to me personally in my debut. a star is going to rise, which I think is going to happen. Which all these people that doubt me, oh, you should be a welterweight. Oh, you should fight 155. They'll see. They'll see. Or I do need to fight welterweight or consider what I'm doing, and I get beat up or something. There's gonna be one or two things. I'm gonna win or lose. You know what I mean? And we're gonna see. We're gonna see how that happens, and I'm excited to see because I think I know what's gonna happen, and I think I have a lot of support, and I think a lot of people are excited to watch me fight. But I also think I have a lot of naysayers because of my height and stuff like that. But I have a different set of skills that kind of eliminate the height factor. So I'm not too concerned, man. I'm excited.
Now, for folks who may not know, how tall are you?
Dude, I'm like 5'6", 5'6" on my best day. I'm real short. So Luke, you know what I was thinking about the other day? Think about this. We're talking about inches, right? So Markus Perez is like 6 foot tall. Okay, he's 6 inches taller than me. This is 6 inches. This right here in my fingers. You know what I mean? 6 inches. We're talking about this little bit right here. That's going to be the deciding factor of the fight. This right here. I don't think so, man. So I'm not worried about it.
Also, I was kind of thinking, like, given that you are a wrestler, and that would, I'm not saying you can't do anything else, but given that's your background, it's your bread and butter, doesn't the shorter stature to a degree, if a guy's got a really good jab, it doesn't help. But if a guy has an ability you can get inside, you're automatically underneath their hips. It makes lifting and takedowns and getting on their legs actually a little bit easier.
Well, what I found is when I spar taller guys, they have to lower their levels to me, right? So Markus Perez might be 6'1", but during the fight he's going to be like 5'11". You know what I mean? Because he's going to bend his knees because he's going to have to respect my takedown. And if he doesn't, I'll take him down. And that's what a lot of guys find. Even guys I spar in the gym or whatever, they're taller than me. If they don't respect my takedown, I'll just take them down real quick to make them respect my takedown. So a lot of guys have to lower their level to me. So no one's really going to be standing up straight up tall, right? So no one's going to actually get their exact height. So that plays a factor too, man. And I close distance really well. And another thing is like I train at one of the best gyms in the world, right? DC's like my best friend. That's like my big brother. And I spend time with all our best guys. Kane. I go to Kane's house, one-on-one. We're in the grass at night, like working on head movement, working on stuff like this. Like I'm getting advice from the best guys that this sport has ever seen. So if you don't think that they are gonna do their best that they can to prepare me, or if I'm not gonna be prepared for everything, then people are tripping, because if you think that these guys got here by fluke and they're not gonna push me in the right direction of things I need to do to be successful in this sport, it's funny to me that people think that we don't know what we're doing over here. And obviously it's discussion. It's always been discussion. My height has always been discussion. But even in wrestling, bro, people are naturally shorter in wrestling, but I've wrestled monsters my entire life. Like the biggest men you've ever seen. I mean, just these guys from Russia, from Dagestan, like these absolute monsters of men. I've wrestled. So I've wrestled Olympic gold medalists. I've wrestled the best guys in the world. So and I do know it's different, but I think that I can correlate a lot of my wrestling experience to fighting, and we're gonna find out, man. I can sit here and talk all I want, but we're gonna find out. One day on June 22nd, we'll find out.
Now you're dropping to middleweight for this fight, right?
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's fine. I'm starting early. I did a pre-camp. We kind of had this date locked in for a little while. We knew I was going to fight. So I've just been switching it up. I've been doing more cardio. I've never been much of a cardio guy, but I train. Like when I spar very hard. So that's what trains my cardio basically. And we do some other things. But I've been running, and I kind of learned from some guys, and I talked to some nutritionists, stuff like that. Is like, I used to think that when I had to run, I had to run really hard, and I'm not built for running at all. So what I've done recently is I've just been kind of easing into running, just real light. And I think that a lot of that is going to help me just easily trim down. And I've cut weight my entire life. So I know what to do, and I know there's these secrets, and I know I can. Tyler Mitten and sorry, I was getting a call.
Okay.
Tyler Mitten and Ian Larios. They come out and help us a lot, and they're good guys. And if I ever need to ask them for any advice, Tyler already wrote me up a thing of what I need to do and stuff like that. So I have all the support, I have all the resources to make it, and it's going to go just fine. I actually think at the end of the day, I'm going to make the weight a lot easier than everyone originally thinks.
Could you go to 170? Like, not right now, but I'm saying, like, in your mind, do you think you could do it?
I've thought about it. I really have. I've thought about it in the future, and I've thought about if it makes sense for me. But I've always said that if something makes my life, my day-to-day life miserable, it'll never be worth any amount of money or any amount of fame or anything like that. So, I'll have to see if I can, it'll never be comfortable. But if I can get if I think that I can realistically get down to 170 without it absolutely changing everything in my life and my happiness, then I'll highly consider. But we'll see. It'll make more sense once I've made 185 a few more times, and see how I feel and see what realistically, because like I said, what people don't understand, man, if I'm not watching my weight, I easily walk around like 225 pounds. I'm very, very dense and thick, so yeah, we'll see. We'll see in the future.
It is wild, though, that you have the body type that you do, athletic as it may be. And then on the other side, you've got Adesanya, like 6'4", 80-inch reach. It's crazy that the middleweight division has that kind of body variance.
I know, and it's crazy. And a lot of people, I said, the biggest downfall I ever get is I see on comments, obviously I don't care, and we talked about this before, because I think the MMA community of fans are terrible. But I get a lot of discrepancy of my height, right? But like I train with very tall guys. Like even my roommate, Luis Pena, he's 6'3", and I spar him all the time. So like I said, man, one thing that is different for me is my world class takedowns, and it's something that Yoel Romero is a more successful wrestler than I was internationally, but I just think that I have something to offer that we've never seen. So and like I said, we'll see. You'll see. I have a lot of really, really interesting takedowns, and I finish very well, and I always have. So that's the difference between me is like a guy like Kelvin Gastelum, who I respect very highly. I think he's a stud. But the difference between me and him is I'm getting Izzy to his butt more than he did, because I wrestled at a very high level, and I've learned how to maneuver these guys to a finish that only 1% of the world has. So, like I said, I think that I have a different set of skills that a lot of people haven't seen, and I think it's going to be interesting. And I'm always going to bring the fight. I'm a fighter at heart, and I'm very, very competitive. So, I think that at the end of the day, they're going to love what I have to offer.
What happens when Ben Askren wrestles Jordan Burroughs at Beat the Streets?
I know both guys personally very well, and I love him, and I love them both. I love what Ben's bringing to the MMA world, and I respect Jordan Burroughs very highly. I've known him for a long time, and but it's and Ben. I don't know if Ben knows this, and I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't get mad at me for saying this, but I don't think it's going to be close. The difference between wrestling at a very high level and how quickly you can stop wrestling at a high level when you transition over to MMA. It's not going to be close, because all JB is working on is his wrestling. And a couple years ago, actually, we wrestled in this thing. It was a pro match. It's called a Flow Pro event. And Ben has a little brother who's a national champion as well.
Max.
And I wrestled Max. Yeah. I wrestled Max, and my buddy Clayton Foster wrestled Ben. We wrestled him right there in Milwaukee in there. So they stopped this kids tournament, and we had these pro matches. There was like 5 of them, and I was the co-main, and Ben and Clayton were the man, and I won. But Clayton, I mean, I don't know. He very handedly beat Ben, and that was 3 or 4 years ago. And as you get older, your wrestling gets worse. It's proven fact.
Now, you're a good friend of DC. You were recruited by DC. You train with DC. Let me ask you this. I'm merely an observer of DC. So what I want is utterly divorced from knowing the man as personally as you do. I've interacted with him, obviously, but not in that kind of capacity.
Yeah.
What do you want for him in the last chapter of his career? Do you want him to fight John Jones at heavyweight? Do you want him just to fight Brock Lesnar? As you speak as a friend and training partner, what do you want for him?
Here's where I'm going to get myself in trouble because I speak very open-mindedly, just like I did last time, and I always do, and I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I think that it's gotten me to where I am today. But I don't think you should ever worry about a guy like John Jones ever again. And as much as people want to act like he's the greatest, he's a cheat. He's a coward. He's a cheat. He's never been legal. Even his past couple fights, he keeps failing drug tests. So he's a cheat, and he'll never. His legacy will always be tarnished. DC has passed like something like crazy, like 60 USADA tests from when he's wrestling in the Olympics. Like he's a he's a clean, fair, hardworking guy, right? And I want him to fight. I want him to get one more big paycheck and get out because he doesn't need any more. He's submitted his legacy. He's done things that only a couple people have ever done. His only loss is to the biggest fraud in MMA. And so, DC's a really good guy, man. And what a lot of people don't see, and people hate on him a lot because of the John Jones thing, is what DC does behind the scenes is what makes him who he is. I've never seen a person as selfless as him behind the scenes. Take care of people. We coach kids and we coach a high school team, and a lot of people think that it's me just coaching and DC shows up whenever he wants. In reality, DC is there just as much as me, if not more. He's very selfless. He acts as if he isn't a celebrity all the time. He's a very humble guy. He's very down to earth guy, and he's a good dude, man. And all I want out of him is I want him to get one more big fight, hopefully Brock at heavyweight. I don't think he should ever make himself get down to 205 again because it's no point. I think he should fight this one fight at heavyweight, Brock, and get out, man. Finish on top. Not a lot of guys finish on top, Not a lot of guys finish on top by defending their belt.
It's very true.
He's defended each belt, and he deserves it, man. He deserves to finish on top. And obviously I'm biased, but I'm a realist too. I respect a lot of guys, and DC, he's one of the he's a guy I respect more than most. So I want him to make some more money and get out, bro, and just do some TV and whatever he does to make money. He's put a lot of strain. A lot of people don't agree with it, but we train hard at AK. We spar hard a lot. And he spars hard a lot. And he's gonna want to spar me hard today. I know he is. But he's worked very hard to get to where he is. So I just hope he makes a lot of money and gets out.
Well, I can't wait to see your Octagon debut. Your one at Golden Boy MMA was phenomenal, or at least that fight anyway. Deron Winn takes on Markus Perez. This will be UFC Fight Night 154, June 22nd at the Bon Secours Wellness Arena in Greenville, South Carolina. Deron, thank you so much for your time in candor today, man. Can't wait for June.
Thanks, Luke, bro. Thanks for having me on, man. Have a good one.